right, so are you ready for this? Because today we're doing a deep dive into something pretty wild.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's Elon Musk. And,
Oh, wow.
yeah, and his, you know, shall we say, evolving relationship with politics.
Interesting.
Yeah, we've got a lot of different sources here. We've got news articles, we've got opinion pieces.
Uh-huh.
We even have some pretty interesting Twitter threads.
Yeah, it's fascinating how much attention he gets for every little thing he does.
It is. And so today we're going to try to figure out, what's really motivating these political moves he's been making.
Okay.
And, of course, how people are reacting to them and ultimately what it might mean for Tesla.
Yeah, I mean, is this just classic Elon being Elon, just trying to get attention?
Right.
Or is there like a bigger strategy at play here?
Well, let's start with something that really caught my eye, and I'm curious to get your take on it, too.
Okay.
It was that incident where Musk appeared to give what some are calling a fascist salute at Trump's second-term inauguration rally.
Oh, yeah. That was a moment for sure.
It was a moment, and it
Yeah.
seemed like everyone had a different interpretation of what it meant.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's so open to interpretation, right? Like some people saw it and were immediately like, oh, this is a clear Nazi salute.
Right.
Like the Canadian Jewish News, for example, they were pretty vocal about that.
Yeah.
But then you've got other people like in the comments section of that PBS NewsHour video on YouTube
Oh, yeah, I saw those.
who are arguing that it was just a joke or that people are misinterpreting it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same gesture,
Right.
but wildly different interpretations of what it means. So I'm curious, what's your take on that moment?
Well, I think it's important to remember the historical context here.
Yeah.
These symbols carry a lot of weight.
Yeah.
They evoke a very painful past. And to use them intentionally or not, comes with a huge responsibility.
Absolutely.
And the fact that it sparked this much debate and even praise from certain groups
Right.
just shows how powerful symbols can be and how easily they can be manipulated.
And this isn't just, like a theoretical discussion about symbols. This is an actual political act.
Right.
Like when he joined Trump's Department of Government Efficiency.
Oh, yeah. The DOGE department.
The BOGE department? I mean, come on.
It's almost too perfect.
Right. It's like, what are we even supposed to make of that?
Yeah.
But it's not just like a funny name. There's some Tesla shareholders who are genuinely concerned about this.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like that CNBC article talked about how they're worried that Musk is getting distracted from the car business.
Right. And they have a point. I mean,
Yeah.
how much can one person really do, Like revolutionize the auto industry and shake up global politics at the same time.
Yeah, where does he even find the time?
Exactly. And it raises some interesting questions about, how common is it for CEOs to take on these prominent government roles?
Right.
And what are the potential benefits and risks, not just for the company, but for the CEO themselves?
Yeah, I mean, history is full of examples of both
Exactly.
successes and failures. And then to make things even more interesting, he goes and endorses Germany's far-right AfD party.
Oh, yeah, that was another big
And
one.
he didn't just, tweet about it.
Yeah.
He showed up at one of their rallies in Halle.
I mean, to understand why that's such a big deal, you kind of have to know a bit about the AfD. They're known for their anti-immigrant nationalist views,
Right.
which are particularly sensitive in Germany given their history.
Absolutely.
And their growing popularity has alarmed a lot of people.
Yeah, including the German chancellor.
Oh, yeah. She was not happy about that.
Not at all.
Publicly expressed her anger at Musk's endorsement.
So you can imagine how tense things must been.
Oh, for sure.
But the endorsement itself isn't even the most controversial part.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Remember what he said at that rally?
Remind me.
He said, it's good to be proud of German culture, German values, and not to lose that in some sort of multiculturalism that dilutes everything.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's a loaded statement.
Yeah, and then there's this other comment.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, yeah, he said, frankly, too much of a focus on past guilt, and we need to move beyond that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. What do you make of that?
That one really struck a nerve, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, it trivializes the Holocaust, and it dismisses the importance of remembering and learning from history.
Yeah.
It's disrespectful to survivors and their families.
Yeah.
And it really undermines efforts to combat anti-Semitism and intolerance.
So, I mean, where do you even begin to unpack all of this? Do you think these are calculated political moves, or are they just a reflection of his genuine beliefs?
It's hard to say for sure, but what's really interesting is that we're seeing this kind of rhetoric gaining ground all over the world. It's not just limited to Germany, and Musk's platform and his influence give him a massive megaphone to amplify it.
Yeah. It's a lot to think about, that's for sure.
It is.
And, it makes you wonder, Like, what impact is all of this having on Tesla?
Oh, yeah, that's the big question, isn't it?
I mean, it's the company he's most closely associated with.
Right, and it seems like there might be some real damage happening.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so according to Brand Finance, Tesla's brand value took a nosedive last year,
Oh, wow.
a full 26% drop.
That's a lot. I mean, what do they think is causing that?
Well, they point to a few things.
Good
They
tell me.
talk about Musk's behavior online, that whole antagonistic thing.
Right.
And then there's the fact that Tesla's car models are getting a bit older,
Uh-huh.
and fewer people are willing to recommend the brand to others.
It's like all of a sudden people aren't so excited about Tesla anymore.
It seems that way, yeah.
So is that all tied to his political stuff, do you think?
Well, it's hard to say for sure, but it definitely raises the question.
Like, you're a potential customer.
Right.
You're excited about electric cars.
Yeah.
You've always loved the idea of owning a Tesla.
Uh-huh.
And then you see the CEO aligning himself with all of these, far-right figures
Right.
and making these controversial statements.
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't that make you think twice?
I think it would make me think twice.
Right. It's a classic example of how a CEO's personal brand can directly impact a company's image.
Oh, totally. We've seen that happen in other industries, too.
Oh, yeah. All the time.
So is this like a temporary setback for Tesla? Or is this like a permanent shift?
That's the big question, isn't it? And I think only time will tell.
And then on top of all of that, we have the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL.
Uh-huh.
They came out and publicly criticized Musk for that Nazi salute.
Oh, yeah. They weren't too happy about that.
Not at all. They called it inappropriate and offensive.
And that's where things get even more complex, because the Jewish community itself is divided on how to interpret Musk's actions.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you've got people like Bethany S. Mandel.
Okay.
She's on Fox News.
Uh-huh.
And she defended Musk, and she called the accusations against him chutzpah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then you've got others like Yael Barter.
Okay.
She's on Twitter.
Uh-huh.
And she's arguing that Musk's actions are normalizing anti-Semitism and emboldening extremists.
So it's like we're seeing this larger political battle play out within this one community.
Exactly. And it shows how difficult it can be to navigate all of this, offensive humor, the evolving meaning of symbols, the power dynamics at play.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It is.
So, I mean, out of everything we've talked about so far,
Okay.
what do you think is the most significant piece of this whole Musk and politics puzzle? Is it the salute, the government role, the AFD endorsement, the ADL's response, or something else entirely?
I think it's important to remember that none of these things exist in a vacuum.
Right.
They're all connected. They all feed into each other.
Uh-huh.
And it's creating this bigger story that's unfolding right in front of us.
A story that maybe we don't fully understand yet.
Exactly. And it's a story that forces us to confront some uncomfortable truths about power influence and the responsibility that comes with them.
Yeah.
We'll get into that more after the break.
Yeah, it really is a story that's still being written, and I think that's what makes it so fascinating.
Right? It's like we're watching it all unfold in real time and trying to make sense of it as we go.
And it's not just about Musk himself, right? Like, what does this all mean for us, for the average person who's trying to navigate this crazy world?
That's a great question, and I think it comes down to recognizing that we can't afford to be passive anymore. We can't just sit back and watch the show. We have to be informed, we have to be engaged, and we have to be willing to hold those in power accountable.
So what does that look like? I mean, what can we actually do?
Well, for starters, we can start asking tough questions.
Okay.
Challenge assumptions, be skeptical of easy answers.
Right, because sometimes the easy answer is not the right answer.
Exactly. And it's about recognizing that power, whether it's political or economic, comes with responsibility. And we have to demand that those who hold that power use it wisely, use it ethically, and use it for the benefit of society as a whole.
I mean, that's a tall order.
But it does.
It's also kind of empowering in a way, right? Like, it means that we actually have a say in this.
Yeah, absolutely. It means that we're not just cogs in a machine.
Right.
We have agency, we have voices, and we have the power to make a difference if we choose to use it.
Well said. I think that's a perfect place to wrap up our deep dive today.
Yeah.
We've explored the complexities of Elon Musk's political involvement, the impact it's having on his company, and all of those bigger questions about power and influence and responsibility in this crazy 21st century.
There's a lot to think about.
It is, and we hope you've enjoyed the journey.
I hope so.
We hope you've learned something new, maybe challenged some assumptions, and, maybe even felt a little bit of that, how did we get here feeling that comes with, trying to understand these big, messy issues.
Absolutely.
So until next time,
Yeah.
keep questioning, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
See you then.